So hey guys, this is Darren with Rose Studios. I have a bit of an interesting video to show you guys. It's mostly just a sort of like a pretty silly video, but there's also something interesting about it. So this right here is some pop-up rubbers that my friend picked up from me in Japan. I believe the company is called Spark, I guess. And the only reason why I wanted this is because there's a kitty on it. That's the only reason why I wanted it. But it turned out that these hop-up rubbers are pretty darn good and pretty darn consistent. So what these hop-up rubbers are is that they are essentially flat hop. It's flat hopped right out of the package. And what makes it flat hopped out of the package is because there's no structure. There's no structure inside the hop-up rubber. It doesn't have any of those bumps. It doesn't have a hop-up nub. It doesn't have the slit that lines up with the bottom of your inner barrel. It doesn't have any of that stuff. It's just literally just a hop-up rubber sleeve. When you flat hop a hop-up rubber that has a structure inside, you normally have to flip the hop-up rubber inside out, grind out all the internal shape so that you can turn the hop-up rubber into a smooth side. And then you can just have a tensioner, and that's how you make flat hop. To my understanding anyways, that's how you make flat hop. I've done flat hop in the past, but I've only really done it to soft rubbers. It's because all my softer hop-up rubbers, I like to use them for the builds that we do in Hong Kong. It's because in Hong Kong, we don't really use super high powerful guns. At most 1.5 joules. So most of the time we're using 1.2. So therefore soft hop-up rubbers are actually quite useful for us. And flat hopping them is quite nice. So that's the reason why we do it. I don't know why other people do it, but to my understanding, I think that's the reason why people do it here. Not 100% sure. But anyways, so let's talk a little bit about this hopper rubber. So besides the structure being already flat hopped for you, what's special is that when you buy these hop-up rubbers, they come with their own tensioner. So this right here, I believe this is the soft version, which is the one that I'm not using at the moment, and this is the stiffer version. Now, even though I'm using the stiff version inside my CQB gun right now, this gun is only shooting 1 joule with 0.2 gram BBs, this hop-up rubber is still pretty soft. Like, compared to all the other hop-up rubbers I have, this one is still really, really soft. And the soft one that they have is even softer. Like this thing, this hop-up rubber literally reminds me of a Firefly hop-up rubber. If you guys have ever owned one of those from many, many years ago, like we're talking about hop-up rubbers that people basically don't even use anymore, it's that soft. It is, like, I don't know if you can tell on camera just by me touching it, like it's uber soft. You won't believe it. And this tensioner that they give you, that's what it looks like. It's a pretty good tensioner. It's solid through and through. It doesn't have any hole or anything like that, so you don't have to insert your own pin to enhance tension. So this is basically a very good flat hop option because everything is prepared for you already, right? All you have to do though is that you may have to cut this down to size to suit your hop-up window. If you guys don't understand what I mean, when it comes to different inner barrels, not all of them have the same hop-up window. So you can tell the middle one has a bit of a curve to it, right? And these ones over here have a bit of a, what I like to call a rectangular shape hop-up window cut. So with those, you will have to cut this thing a little bit smaller. But with with inner barrels that have a curved cut to it, like the middle one over here, this is from Maple Leaf. PDI also likes to do a curved cut. Forgive me for not using the right terminology. I don't really know what the proper term is called. But with those curved cuts, you don't need to cut this thing as much. It's because when it applies pressure onto your flat hop, it will actually protrude all the way through if you size it correctly. How I normally tell is that there's a question that some people have asked me before. When you do your flat hops, how do you know the nub size and shape and how long it is? I'm going to be quite honest with you, I don't know. how I normally do it is that when you are assembling your hop-up rubber or your hop-up chamber, is your hop-up tensioner, is because normally you have to assemble your inner barrel first, put on the ring thing, clip it into place, and then you assemble your hop-up arm, this pin right here to hold the hop-up arm. You do that last, right? And before you do that though, what you can do is that you can take like a soft poking tool. I use the tip of my files because it's soft. And what you can do is that when you poke it, you can see roughly where your hop-up window is, even though it's covered up by the hop-up rubber. Like when you have it covered up, let's say I have it over this. So just give me a few seconds. These rubbers are very grippy, by the way. Okay, I'm just gonna pretend I have it installed correctly. So basically, the hop-up window is here, right? So when you poke it, you can sort of see the general shape of where the hop-up window is, and because I can see it, I can cut this thing roughly to what I see here. So basically, I'm eyeballing it. If you want to be really precise, I guess you can use calipers and measure it out. I don't. I just cut it mostly just by eyeballing it. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure if this is super important, but that's how I've been doing flat hops for all of my guns, and frankly, the only reason why I do it is because I don't really like to use the hop-up tensioners that you can buy for airsoft. Most of them I don't like. I just end up cutting an eraser and just putting in my own. And the hop-up nubs that I use, I don't use weird hop-up nubs. Like if you buy Firefly hop-up rubbers that have a weird hitch shape, if you buy Maple Leaf rubbers that have that sort of a shape like this, that sort of has a bit of a tail, I don't use any hop-up rubbers like that. For my GHK I do, but for other rifles I don't. So therefore I don't really need a special shape hop-up tensioner. So that's the reason why, generally speaking, I don't really have a big hop-up tensioner problem, because all the rubbers that I use, I flat hop all of them, so it makes my life a lot simpler whenever I try to just, you know, set the hop up for all of my rifles. And this is roughly what it looks like right now. So right now I have it on the lowest possible setting. I don't know if you can see that. There's a very, very tiny bump sticking up on the top. There we go. Okay, this was how much hop-up I was using for my CQB game, which I wasn't shooting really far, to be honest with you, but basically what I realized is that before I gamed it, before I was shooting my tracer BBs, I noticed that if I turned the hop-up just a little bit higher, it would easily over-hop my 0.2 gram BBs. So that's the reason why I have it on such a low setting. And on this low setting, the hop-up is very consistent. It also flies exceptionally well. I got one. Stops. I go high, you go low.
Yeah, okay.
So I was actually quite impressed with this little hop-up rubber. Like, this is a drop. Keep in mind again, this is a drop-in. Like, I did no work. I just slipped on the hop-up rubber, installed my rubber tensioner, and that's it. And I put it on, and it worked. Right. So that's the reason why I'm making this video. It's just a neat little product that seems to work very well. And yes, it does pass the drop test. So if I put a BB in here. On that day, I was using Mad Bull Tracer BB. And if I drop it in, it drops like really easily. Like it drops right through the feed tube. So the feed lips are quite short. The feed lips are very similar to the Prometheus feed lips. It's not particularly long. The Maple Leaf feed lips are a lot longer than this. So that's roughly what the feed lip length is. The reason why I can't measure it with calipers is because it's sort of hard to measure the feed lips with calipers. Like, you can, it's just not a very accurate reading. So that's the reason why I didn't measure it. But if you eyeball it, let me take off your hobble rubbers. So this is the only spare Maple Leaf rubber that I have. It's their yellow one. I think this is 50 degrees. But if you look very carefully, focus. But you can tell there's a huge difference, right? So that should give you a rough estimation of what the feed lip is like. Now, I have not tried this with the Polar Star. Obviously, now that I have a Polar Star, of course, I'm dying to try one of these things, is because these things will easily pass the drop test, right? So therefore, I can use one of these things. By the way, if I use the Maple Leaf rubber in my VFC 416, it does not pass the feed test, unless if I grind off a bit of the lips. If you don't know how to size down the feed lips, it requires you to... Sometimes people use mills. I use a drill tool, like this. And then what I do is that I slip these Maple Leaf rubbers onto a scrap inner barrel that I don't want, and then I just spin it with a Dremel tool on hand, and I just slowly grind down the feed lips. That's how I do it. It's because at home I don't have a mill. So I'm going to roll in some footage on the day I was using that. On the day I was using the Spark hop-up rubber, and you guys can take a quick look for yourself. There's actually a gameplay video of me using that rifle with these rubbers in already, so you can just check that out if you want. But so far, these rubbers are pretty nice. I will be doing sort of a follow-up video, is because I will be using this in my Polar Star build, and I'm going to try to push this as far as I can. I might try to hop this with 0.3 or 0.4 BBs. I'm not sure yet. I don't know what the limitations are yet, so still testing that, but so far so good. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. It's just showing off something that's a little bit neat, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.